Hello, my name is William, the Avid reader, and today I'm reviewing Coming Up for Air, written by George Orwell in 1939. So this is George Orwell's fourth novel, and it's an interesting one. It's written from the first person point of view. So the character the main character, the protagonist, is called George Bowling, and we get to see his inner thoughts. He describes everything himself. So yes, first person, and it's the book is divided in four. It's a short book, but nonetheless divided in four parts. So first part is the introduction, the usual life, and that he has a longing for nostalgia of his youth and things like that. The second part, it's his origin story, and it's almost half the book, and it explains his childhood, how he went out to fish boys with his brother and his friends, how he enjoyed reading since he was young, and his older brother Joe was much dumber than George. He joined the army during the First World War, or the Great War, as it was known then, and he discovered that war was not a pleasant thing, and he thought that he would get an opportunity to fish during the war, but he almost did. And one of the things he loved to do as a youth was fishing, but he stopped doing that once he was in his late teens, because he then started working for his father. And his parents were average people, and they lived in a little town, almost countryside. And then we return to the third part. It's his daily life, and how he would like to be alone, and has a lust for nostalgia. So he decides to prepare to go back to where his child was to his own old town. So he makes up a alibi to his wife. His wife is Hilda is a type of woman. She's annoying. She's worried about everything, including minor things. She wants to force that upon them. She has two friends. One of them is a nut job, and the other one is a quiet little woman. And he has to make something up to keep Hilda away for a week, and he also to get leave from his insurance company where he works at, because he got the job because he knew some old soldier that worked there. And then the fourth part is the adventure, and he gets to see what he gets to understand that the lust of nostalgia will not be as cheap as the old small town he used to go to live at has now been urbanized, and the pool where he used to fish, it's gone now. And it's been turned into a trash thing. And all this urbanization, and there's a bomb that's dropped by accident by some dumb pilot, and he gets to see his old girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend Elsie, and she's also aged badly. One of the themes in these books is women, once they're married, they marry you, they will age very quickly and get ugly and fat, and they will also get annoying. So that's an interesting thought from Mr. Orwell. And it's heavily urbanized, and almost everything is gone. There's a few things that are mostly the same, but pretty much everything is the same. Everything has become standardized, and there's rows and rows of houses, and there's some pollution. Some places in a large part of the forest is gone. And then he hears the radio that his wife is seriously ill. First he doesn't take it seriously because he thinks it's one of her plots, because his wife he has cheated on his wife many times, and his wife has been very good at catching him, and she thinks he's cheating on her, but then he thinks she may be ill. So he goes back to the house, and he learns that was another Hilda Bowling that was sick. And then in the doorway, his devilish wife stays there, and she starts questioning him and then nagging him, and she thinks he's cheating on her. and it's in the book that he knows that he has to tell the truth of why he got away, that he had to try it because his mind would not allow to make up a lie or to accept that he cheated or something like that. He said earlier that he also wanted to kill his wife. So yes, and there aren't that many characters in this book. And one of the characters we get to see is in the third part. It's Old Portia, so he's a retired schoolmaster, and he really loves reading books, history books, and he lives in the past. That he believes everything after the 1800s happened was a disaster, and he thinks it should be like it was 2000 years ago, and history keeps repeating himself, and he says even Hitler and Stalin, things like that have happened before. And then you've got the uncle of George when in his childhood, Uncle Ezekiel, which was much older than his father, who was a staunch old liberal and seemed to be quite bright. Another thing, we get to see people of the Labour Party, Liberal Party, and Communist and Trotskyists in this novel, especially during the third part, and they all hate Hitler, and a lot of them hate Stalin, and there's arguments about that they wanna smash the face in. And one of the themes in the books is that totalitarianism may come after a war. That's how it's similar. It has themes similar to 1984, a bit Animal Farm, but especially 1984, that whatever happened, there will be war, there will be destruction, and then there will be truncheons, trampling on people. And it's an entertaining read, and but it's also delves into some more heavier subjects, and that's an interesting thing. This book is published the year World War II broke out, but probably before the war broke out. And it predicts some things. And the totalitarian regime has maybe been partially true. So yes, an interesting read. And there's issues of jingoism, where everyone really wants to go to war and beat the Nazis or maybe beat the communists. And they're really bloodthirsty for this. They really want to kill someone. A lot of these people, these youngsters, don't understand what war is. And we also get to see George Bowling's nostalgia from the past, and then see what it really has turned into. A massive block of urbanization. And he really enjoyed his piece at fishing, and his wife thought it was dumb that he wanted to go fishing, so that's why he needed to make the lie. And he wants to go fish because it's peaceful in part, and he cannot go fish anymore because, well, urbanization, so there's no pool to fish, and it's no longer peaceful. There's a lot of cars and things like that. So, yeah, and both entertaining and interesting read. I'd say they call this book. And so, how would I rate this novel? Well, thought about it. It started out for me as a 7, but then got up to an 8. So it's not as good as Burmese Days, George Orwell's first novel, but I think it's much better than, or better at least, than Down and Out in Paris and London. So this book I rank 8 out of 10. So George Orwell did a good job, and we all, of course, get a bit of a tragic ending. Of all the Orwell novels I've read so far, his books, when it's fiction, at least, never happy endings. So I know what to expect. There's a clear trend now. Never expect a happy ending from George Orwell. Maybe there will be one, but probably not. So that was the Avid Reader's Review Coming Up for Air, written by George Orwell in 1939. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I will see you guys next time.